So, hi guys, welcome to the live stream with Philippe David. We have the honor today to interview this gallerist from Zurich. And yes, I would like to ask you to actually tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi everyone. My name is Philippe. I am obviously French, as you can hear. I live in Zurich since 16 years now, and I've been an art dealer working in the art world since 20 years now. And I work on my own. I had a gallery space. I used to work for auction houses, international galleries, and now as a private dealer, advisor, curator, and so on.
Very nice. And you told us that now you're actually not taking any new artists anymore. You have like your best few artists that you represent. Can you tell us a little bit more about the artists that you represent? Maybe
Yes.
we could also have a little look at your website at the same time, if that's all right.
So I do two things. I do art dealing with modern art, 20th century. Actually, most of the 20th century, I'm able to pick just what I really like. And I also have some living artists, contemporary artists who I used to work with and still do. People I really like very much, and I very much appreciate their art as well, and also the personality of these people. It's very important to work with good and positive personalities. I only have 4 now, as I don't have a gallery space, so I don't do a lot of I don't do exhibitions. Sometimes in my place where I live and work. So this is also secondary market. So we can see Dan Bina, who is an American artist. Dan is a good old friend, a fantastic artist. He does this collage made of old magazine from the 50s and 60s, and he turned the images in very specific way to change the situation totally, like this family with the burning background. Angela Gleitzer, who's a German artist, she's a sculptor with paper. She mostly, I would say, 99% works with paper now. This is a very small work. She doesn't destroy the paper. She really sculpts something out of different sheets of paper. It's a very sporty activity as well, as she works in a very large scales. Yes, Erwin Wurm is an artist which I like very much, but this is on the secondary market. I don't work directly with the artist. Austrian artist, Richard Petitbon, also secondary. And we also have maybe a bit lower, something else interesting. Yeah, the tapestry, Christ Studio, just above. 2 young women from Belgium, both live in Brussels, and the name is Christ Studio, and they do contemporary tapestry, beautiful images, and work a lot to do the things very unique. Modern tapestry, something you don't expect to see today on the wall. But yeah, and Nino Miloni, who is a Swiss artist from Zurich. He used to be, or he's a little bit a lawyer, but he was since ever passionate with art. And then he started to work with neon and things to express himself. And this that payphone, American payphone, is the iconic object of, let's say, part of American history, maybe, if you want. And that pink is a very specific pink. The Barker Miller, who was a psychiatrist, and he created that color to calm down people who are very upset and aggressive. That you can see some guys in prison. They are dressed with this specific pink. Nino is again, Zurich living artist. Is 43 now.
Okay, and you said he's a lawyer or he's a psychiatrist?
No, the psychiatrist was the one who did that color, who created that
Oh,
pink.
he's like, okay.
And the guy is now something like 98 or whatever.
Yeah.
And the color doesn't really exist only in his studio, and he create that color to calm down people who have too much aggressivities.
I
So
understand. So it's a bit like a special color, like Eve Klein blue, for instance, like only he knows. Ah, that's
the
very
psychiatrist
nice.
was not an artist. The color was not made for art,
Right.
but because Nino found that color very interesting, and so I did a series of works with that specific pink color. So he had to
Very
go to write a letter to that guy who lives somewhere in the middle of nowhere in the USA, and
yeah.
after 6 months, he got a little sample of that color. The guy painted himself on the cardboard, and with a paint company he could recreate that color. And also the
Interesting.
wire, you can see the wire of that payphone
Yeah.
is a neon in pink as well. So the point is, you can't take it, you can't grab the phone, because otherwise it will break.
Mm,
So it's also about you looking at this icon, and you want to touch it, you want to interact with it, but you can't, because otherwise the wire will break, because it's made of very thin glass. So a lot of different ideas behind his works. I like him very much.
I see. Yes. And the main message with the untouchable type of payphone is
Well, it's will you do it or not?
um,
It's forbidden. It doesn't look like at first sight, but when you look closer, so things that appears in a certain way, and then when you look closer, they are actually different. And at the end, it's the question is, will you or not?
I see.
It's up
Okay,
to you.
very interesting. In first, I thought it reminds me a little bit of Marina Abramovic. You know, like from the concept is like playing with the boundaries. But now I think it's more of a like a
Yeah.
different question. It's more of a, do you dare to do it? Yeah, interesting. Does the artist have like some artists that inspired him? Do you know of any?
Many. He's a big fan of American artists.
Yeah.
Pop art is a big part of and minimalism, American minimalism for. So he's a big fan of Donald Judd, of Robert Mangold, of Andy Warhol, of course, but
Yeah.
also Lichtenstein and Wesselmann and so on, and all the other Rauschenberg with the collage and the and Fred Sandback, or this kind of artist.
Very
But he's
nice. Oh, yeah.
very into contemporary art as well himself, and he's also a collector.
Ah, as well. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very nice.
he really collects
That's really
contemporary art. So when he sells something from his own art, he's able to buy something from another artist, which I find a very good idea.
yeah, that's a
Good
very
move.
nice. That's indeed a very nice concept to exchange art like this.
Mhm.
Yes. Actually, let's have a look at your website a bit more. We found out about the contemporary artists that you represent, but you do many more things like represent or curate other exhibitions too. Do you want to tell us a bit more about this?
Yes. So
Best where to find it on your website, or maybe I have to show the other photo.
if you don't go on the maybe
Yeah,
collections model,
yeah.
and then modern. So we'll go like 80 years back now. So now we
Yeah.
see totally different works from the early 20th century. which is from 1969. The core of my business is art dealing with modern art. So with the first part of the 20th century, with the different avant-garde movement, Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Fauvism, German Expressionism, and then Surrealism, of course, as well. And later, the second part of the 20th century, the post-war, with the abstraction lyrique in France, or the minimalism in the USA, and pop art as well, and also some later positions. So these are works that I have, or I had, Impressionist, Post-Impressionist, and Expressionist, I can see now. So these kind of works, they are works that I have be able to buy myself, or to be able to place in different collections. I work with some collectors who I really take care of more than most of my clients, my collectors. For example, there are two collections I'm really much involved in. I've been building up a lot with them. And also now I take care of placing some of these works from their collections in museum exhibitions, for example.
I see. Yeah.
So, which is good for the paintings. When a painting is chosen to be in a major exhibition, means the painting has certain quality or meaning in the development of the artist, or in the development of the movement, or of the art.
Very cool. Yeah. And you meet these collectors at the auctions where you purchase your own artworks, or
auctions or art fairs. I used to work for galleries, and we have been exhibiting a lot on different art fairs in Europe, in France, Switzerland, Germany, UK, and in the USA, and Netherlands. TEFAF. TEFAF is maybe the most important, still the most important art fair for any kind of art. 7,000 years of art. You meet someone and you have a good connection, you have the same values about the art, the same maybe kind of taste, and then they're happy to have your advice, and they appreciate your advice, and you appreciate their kindness, and then you have new good friends, and
cool.
So that's the collection. I will be landing different works in autumn. One exhibition is starting September 2nd or 4th at the Kunstmuseum Basel. It's about Fauvism. There I have from two different collectors. I will have 4 paintings exhibited there. And in October, another exhibition at the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Also about Fauvism, but much more precise this time, about the very, very early and starting of the Fauvism, 1905 in Collioure with Matisse and Derain. So it's called Vertigo of Color, and so there will be 2 very beautiful and amazing paintings from one of my collector. Will be shown there, and the exhibition will go after in January to the MFA, Museum of Fine Art in Houston.
Cool. Do you always travel together with your artworks, or you just make sure that they arrive safely, or how do you? Can you just stay in Zurich while your artworks travel the world, or do you feel like you have to join?
It depends on what. I'm always aware of any works. I have also small arts for a couple of hundreds. I really check the tracking on if it's like with FedEx or something. If there are more major works with sometimes cost or have value of a couple of millions or more, then I can't travel with them all the time, but I still stay in Zurich, but I don't sleep. So everything is insured. We have insurance for everything. but it's not the point. The point is you want to be sure that everything has been collected properly and packed in the right way. But we have good people who we work with all around the world to collect and pack, and then they do they do condition reports before shipping when the paintings arrived. Now 4 paintings have arrived in Basel, one from Switzerland, 3 from USA, and then they open the crate after a day, so the crate has acclimated again, and then they do photos. The restorers of the museum do photos and condition reports, so I can see everything is safe, has arrived in the right way, and hasn't been damaged, and so I can inform the collector that, because the people love their paintings, they are not happy to let them go. Of course, they are very honored and happy to see the paintings in the museums, and in the catalog, but paintings traveling 5 or 10,000 kilometers and also 100, it's always a little bit shaky.
Yes, I can understand. I would probably do a pilot license and just ship them myself, because I would be so afraid. I would be so afraid that someone, doesn't treat the paintings as nicely as they deserve to be treated.
Yeah. But there are professionals for that, professional shippers for art. They are specialized, they do only this, and they charge a lot of money for it. So
they
can do it correctly. They can do it properly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. You were saying before that you also have your own works that you purchased. So I'm very curious. What was your first artwork you ever purchased? And
I know.
when and why?
I was working. My first job in the art business was in Munich, Galerie Française. Gérard Schneider, who is a French man, he lives in Munich since I don't know now, 45 years maybe, and he gave me the opportunity to work first with him in his gallery. We were working on a lot of art fairs, and we had mostly prints and editions of École de Paris. And I really started to learn and to discover and to understand also some artists, which I found nice maybe to look at the beginning, but I had no clue. And once he bought a portfolio of etchings and aquatint by Marino Marini, an artist which I liked very much from the beginning, who is more well known as a sculptor, but he was a fantastic painter. The horse is the main subject, like maybe 90% from 1945, 90% is horses, or sometimes a rider on the horse, but very expressive and extremely great. And so that portfolio, there were 12 etchings, and I could see how much he paid for the whole portfolio, and asked him, because we were selling the 12 each, not the whole portfolio, so framing them, and I asked if I can buy one of these, and he said, yeah, if you want. So I could buy for the same price he paid, and it was at that time 400 euros.
Okay.
I have it.
And now, how much is it now? I'm just...
It's unfortunately not much more, but it's maybe like the double, but it's not like going crazy, and it will not be like also if I keep it the next 30 years, it will not be like 10,000 one day. It's a small thing, but it's very nice, and it's exactly what I like in Marino Marini's works, is between the figurative and going to abstraction. So like a gap, something between these two, and transition, and I like that very much.
Okay, very nice. That's these kind of things also have an emotional value, because I'm sure your most expensive work is maybe not the one work that's dearest to your heart, isn't it? Or am I now doing?
No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're
right.
It's probably you would be more sad if you would lose that beautiful horse painting.
Yeah, it's not even painting, it's etching, so it's a print.
Etching.
It's
Yeah.
an edition of 50,
Yeah.
and I could find it again maybe one day somewhere, but I really like it because it was for me to spend 400 euros, and then I went to the frame maker and we choose the frame together with the frame. It was very new, and I was very, very excited. And at that time, I was almost married. I'm
Yeah.
not anymore. Uh, and I showed this to my future wife, and she looked at it and she said, "Nah." Not,
No.
so she didn't
And
really
that's
like
when you knew you needed a divorce or
it.
what?
Now I'm divorced, and I still have the art. So
Okay. Okay, okay. No, that's cool. No, I love this story. That's so nice. I'm actually so curious though what you actually what kind of background you have and what made you wanna work in the field of art because you didn't study art, you told me.
I didn't study actually anything at all.
Yeah,
I was at a hotel and restaurant school in Paris. My father was had restaurants in Paris and then in south of France, and so I grew up in that business, and I really liked the restaurant business. I was a child, and I loved to go to the restaurant to see my father working. I
yeah,
was 7 years old, trying to take the orders and helping doing the desserts and things, serving coffees. And my sister, where for example, she came to the restaurant and she sat at the table and she just wanted to eat and say thank you. So I really like that. So at school it was a little boring for me. I wasn't very motivated, so very lazy. And I saw that opportunity. I could do the restaurant school before doing any graduation, and so I did it. And I said to my parents, I will do the 6 years, and then after 2 years I was done. I had my a little diploma, the very lowest one what you can get in France,
yeah,
and I was able to work, and that's what I wanted to do. I couldn't see me during my graduation with 18, 19, and then going to study what I had no idea. My parents didn't study, so no one showed me what were the opportunities. So, but I don't regret. I was very happy, and the hotel restaurant school was the best school for me. And yeah, and after 2 years, I started to work in Plaza Athénée in Paris, and then in different restaurants. And then I went to Austria, Germany. I had to do my military service, which I did in Naples, Italy. I
Ah,
was
you
driver
went
of
to
the
that
Admiral.
as a French citizen? I'm surprised.
Yeah, there is a NATO basis in. So the French are part of the NATO, of course,
Yeah,
and in Naples there is a NATO basis, and so
yeah,
there were like 25 French, and the boss was the admiral,
yeah,
and he needed a driver, cook, and things. I was little guy for everything. It was very nice. It
yeah,
was a good time. So back to yeah, then one day that French guy in Munich asked me if I want to change and work with him. Galerie Française, Gérard Schneider,
yeah,
again. And at the beginning, I say, well, thank you very much, but I saw the art. I wasn't really into it. I had no idea, no clue of everything, no education for that.
yeah,
And I didn't see me sitting in a gallery, like reading books about art and talking about things I have no clue. And then could see he was very active. He was exhibiting on many art fairs, like 8 or 10 art fairs a year, which is really a lot. That time
yeah,
was a week or 10 days of fair. So always traveling and building up and starting. And I say, okay, but let's try it. And then my first week was in Munich, and then we had the art fair in Zurich at the it was the Zürcher Kunstmesse at
yeah,
that time, 2000 and I don't know 2003, something like that, yeah.
yeah,
And the first day people came, so we built up everything, the works on at the wall, and then the opening, and a lot of people were coming, and I stand there and I see the people and I want to talk to them. When I was working in the restaurant, I was selling wine. I was selling the best wine. I had very great fun at that, and I couldn't say anything because I had no idea. I have read some biography of some artists. We had Delaunay, Polyakov, Chagall, Picasso, Miro, na. But
Yeah.
if you don't look at the art, you can't understand. So I knew where they were born, what their education was, and blah blah blah, but I couldn't make the connections. And
So
first day I
interesting.
said,
Yeah.
yeah. So the first day I said, okay, this is not going to work. And on the next day, I was listening to what my boss was saying, how he was introducing, starting to talk to people. And I took like 2, 3 sentences from him at the beginning.
Yeah.
Then I was in. I could start to talk. And then I look at the work, and then I start to say things. And actually, I was not really selling. I was more presenting the works, and the people were buying with us because they were nice, good stuff, and easily understandable. It was not like conceptual art and things like that. It was Chagall, Miro, Picasso, etchings, not very expensive stuff, between 2, 3 thousand up to, let's say, 25,000, which is a
Mhm.
certain amount of money, but yeah, a lot of people are able to afford and to be spontaneous on these kind of prices. And also paintings, some original paintings, mostly Polyakov, Serge Polyakov. We were working with the family at that time, and yeah. So on that week, we sold 13 works, and I sold 6 from 13. So I was
Wow.
very happy. I said, okay, this is gonna work.
Very good. Very
Yeah.
nice.
And then
Cool.
after a couple of months, I really started to wanted to understand what it is about and why that abstract painting, these slashes of colors, why is it so important
Special.
or interesting for people. And I
Yeah.
start to read and to listen what people say, and going to the museum and take the the audio guide, and
Yeah.
stand in front of the painting. That's what I recommend to anyone who has not too much ideas or clues or no education about art. Go to museum, take the audio phone, and then listen only what you care about, and just cut and go to the next, and you learn in front of it, and you can losing connection. So yeah, and then start to understand and to appreciate much more, not only selling things, but really understand, appreciate I appreciate the art much more than that, and I become passionate.
The concept behind the art, yeah, that's the thing. I guess this is a thing that artists themselves like argue a lot about what is good art. You know, like, is good art, like, I remember I had an art teacher, he always said, good art is what everyone, like society, defines as good art. Yes. So that was his answer. And then I was like, well, no, but I think good art is, for instance, like when I look at the materials and I look at the, like the history, the story of the artist, like their upbringing and everything. And then I can say, yeah, okay, I think from his perspective, it makes sense. And I really liked how he used the materials to create something, to share his perspective of life or of the world. So I want to ask you now, what do you think is like good art? Do you actually think it's a important question, or do you feel like it's more important to make this exchange of artworks? What do you think is more relevant?
What is good art and what is shit art? Um,
Yeah.
um, this is a very, I think it's very personal thing. Anyone reacts in a different way. Art should be able to provoke reactions. If you don't react, if nothing happened when you look at art, then it's not the art for you, maybe. And it doesn't have to be for you. You don't have to understand everything in art. Some things you can look at and you say, okay, this is. I don't even want to know what it is about. This happens very often. Yeah, so and you can't be knowledgeable everything. You can't know all the artists or have written every exposé about every artwork. But art should be able to create a situation, interaction, that's something that moves you, reaction from you. Yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of epoch do you like the most? Which kind of art epoch? Is it Fauvism, like abstract art, or is it?
I like many things. That's a little bit of my problem. I can't focus on one specific period because there are so many periods that are so interesting and important, and that really that moves me. So that very special moment between Fauvism and the German expression is the beginning of these two movements, and these two groups, they are very related in what they were looking for. They were researching in a way, in the same way. So the Fauve painter with Matisse, of course, Derain, Vlaminck, and then the other ones, Van Dongen, Manguin, and so on. Auton-Friese, Braque, they developed something, and they had their how do you say that, the color was made free and spontaneously, everything away from academy and everything, from working properly as you should. They were free to express things. Gauguin told Sérusier, if you see that tree, how do you see that tree? What color does it have? And he said purple, so paint it purple. Gauguin wrote, it's in the letter that Sérusier to Gauguin wrote. So, and they were able to do that. They were free to do. It was not existing 3 years before. And the German expressionists, the Blaureiter in Munich, around Munich, and then the Brücke, Schmidt-Rottluff, Kirchner, and so on. They were also looking at working on searching in that direction as well. And they were traveling because they saw some gallerists. There was one in Paris who was showing the German expressionists, and there was one in Munich, for example, or one in Berlin who was showing also the French art. So it was showing Picasso, was showing Vlaminck, was showing Braque, and in that period, so 1904, 5, 6. So there were exchanges, and the artists have met, and also the artists, the German ones, have been traveling a lot to Paris. Had an apartment in St. Javlensky, August Macke. His father-in-law was a collector, and he spent many months in Paris, and he was looking for paintings for his father-in-law. And so he could see in the galleries the artists what they were doing, and so they had was that confirmation when they saw the French one doing this, and they could develop the German expressionism. So these two are so much related, like many times in the art history. I like that period very much because it's also the brush stroke is starting to be more large, and then the details disappear in that period. So these are the first step to the abstraction, which is arriving like 1912, 11, 12, 13 with Kandinsky and Mondrian. So yeah, I like that very much. But I like also the abstraction lyrique in Paris after the Second War with Delaunay, with Polyakov, with Hartung, and later Soulage, of course. Yeah. So difficult to focus on one thing.
What do you think about photorealism, though? It's also a subcategory of abstract art. What do you think about the photorealism? It's founded by Gerhard Richter. I don't know. Do you know him?
Yeah. photorealistic, blurry photos. Yeah, they are fantastic, of course.
Yeah, so he was painting, and like the idea of abstract art, as we agree, is like that people didn't want to see the sad reality of the world war, like the world being shattered and in pieces. So they try to create their like own realities. Also that's at least a little bit of a interpretation that I made.
Richter did both. It is total
Exactly.
abstraction, and he did also the photorealism,
Yeah.
but he didn't do it just as good as he is, but it is these skies and things. But the black, white, gray paintings he did,
Yeah.
they're mostly very blurry, and this is even going much further. It's like Franz Gertsch, who passed away last year. Franz Gertsch was a fantastic painter. I don't know how many weeks and months and years he must have spent on every painting to paint so precisely, and also to do his woodcuts in such a precision that you stand in front of it. You have, after it's printed, you really have the feeling the person is alive in front of you, and this is very impressive. Yeah, I like photorealism very much. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, I found it such an interesting concept, because it's like you would think it's a photograph, but it's actually a painting, and it's true. Like you don't understand anymore, like what is reality and what is a painting. I like how it's like questioning the meaning of a painting as well.
It's good when art makes you lose a little bit of your basics, your foundations. So where you are, and if you enter in a room, for example, the very famous room by Sylvie Fleury, or this huge installation by Yayoi Kusama Yayoi, pardon. You enter these rooms, and then you don't exactly know where you are. You enter another world, and when you look at a photorealistic painting, as you said, you think it's a picture, it's a photograph, because
Yeah.
it's precise and perfect. And then it's a painting, and then when you look closer, you see the brush strokes, and then you go back and again, and then where are you? And this is what I would say good art. So it makes you go enter another world.
Yeah, it makes you question a little bit also, like reality.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes, because the big question in the art world sometimes are between painters and photographers as well. Like painters, sometimes they consider photography not to be art. I remember in the beginnings of photography, it was very hard to establish it as a form of art. Because first it was a way to document things, right? So would you like, from what I know, you mainly invest in paintings. What is your opinion on photography artworks? Do you actually think that's like, how do you position that kind of a medium of work?
The photography in the art,
Yeah.
it has been of course accepted and recognized as art, but there is documentation photography, of
Yeah.
course,
Yeah.
and there is art photography, and now we know that. But of course, photography at the beginning was made to not as an art media.
Yeah.
So it took a time, it took a while, of course, to make people accept that it's possible to create amazing artworks through photography.
Yes, indeed.
Look also at some documents to some photographs what have been made as documentations, and they are so beautiful. Then you can consider these as art, of course.
Art, yeah. And also painting, I mean, in the past, like Leonardo da Vinci, for instance, he was documenting with his paintings too. Like, I think Mona Lisa was like a documentation too, no?
I don't
Oh,
know.
she's fictional? I don't even know. Like this is such a big.
That's mystery. We don't know who she was. It's not like this is a. We can make a new story about this, and we need to ask a
Have you
specialist.
seen it? You are from France. Have you been to the Louvre many times, or you say, "Nah, I
Yeah,
know
of
it."
course. We once a year with school when we were kids, we had to go there, and in these huge rooms, these huge paintings,
Yeah,
we could. The Mona Lisa is not very big, but
exactly.
and then you well, a little bit little bit bigger, but I think it's like 50 or no, 45 centimeters high.
Yeah.
No, it's
But you
not.
can't even see her because there's so many Asian people in front trying to take photos with her. Like at least when I went, I didn't see Mona Lisa. I just saw so many tourists trying to photograph her.
Yeah, when I the problem is today with smartphones and with photo doing
Yeah,
shooting everything all the time. People go to museum and they do like they don't look at the paintings. They like
yeah, yeah,
and they still have the noise of them click 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 click, which is
yeah,
very annoying.
yeah.
Going when I go to the Louvre sometimes when I'm in Paris, I like to go there because I don't I only do one or two rooms and then I go somewhere
Oh,
else.
yeah.
And if I pass by the room for the Mona Lisa, I look around the corner, I see, oh, she's still there, and then I
Cool.
can't do to
Yeah,
make the selfie in front of it because it's doesn't make sense to me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Nice. Very good.
so people should look at works and need not taking photographs all the time to put everything on TikTok, Instagram, and so on. It's nice to share things, and it's very good that we can share, and so it can also people who have no clue that certain things exist, so they
Yeah.
can see these on the social medias, and then they can go and see these on their own. But shooting every picture in an exhibition, I don't know, 120 paintings, you don't see anything. You don't have time to look at the work. So
Yes,
if
and
you have the
also
chance to be in front of it, look at it.
some works, like for instance, Ed Reinhardt, like his abstract paintings with this all black, different grades of black. You don't even see it on a photo. You really have to be in front of it to understand these like big, just like fields of paint, and to actually inspect it and to like go into the color and like let your reaction happen, like you said before. Like
Yeah.
you cannot have that in a photo. Like I remember I had to do a presentation at some point about those paintings, where you only have like one color, a bit like Yves Klein with always his like blue, or Ed Reinhardt with his like just color, fields of color.
Yeah.
And I saw the painting in a catalog, and I was like, oh my, what is this? And I was trying to present it like in a really nice way and
A
stuff.
lot.
And I researched it and I was trying to understand the idea behind. But then only I understood it when I actually stood in front of the painting. Because this is something you can only experience when you see the real painting. Like you can't experience that feeling, or you can't see the nuances of the color when you just look at it like on a photograph. So there is, I think, like limits to photography too sometimes. Yeah.
Also,
um
with the light, when you see, for example, the Outre Noir from Pierre Soulages, the very only black paintings, very thickly painted, and
yeah,
then you can't really photograph it because it doesn't really make sense. Because these paintings, they are not, and said Soulages, who passed away recently, he said himself, it's not only black. The black is not just black because when the light goes on it, and when you go to his museum in Rodez, for example, you see when the lights come from the side, and it depends what time of the day it is, you have a reflect of blue maybe, or maybe it will be yellow, maybe
yeah,
reddish. So the black becomes not only black, but it gets other colors and many, many different colors. When you really look at these, when they are properly presented, and during the day, different time of lights, shades, and things, the painting changed a lot.
yeah. Cool. Yeah, exactly. That's That's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah, that's why you have to be in the exhibition at the museum or at your house
Yeah,
to
but
see
normally
real
not
artworks.
but what
Yeah,
museum they have for if you're a student, if you have no money, you go to the museum, say, please, can I get in? They will
yeah,
let you in. So it's always
really.
possible to go there. But when you're
Yeah,
there, put your phone in your pocket and shoot only one or two, and then look at the paintings really. And
yeah. Yeah, I didn't know that they do that in Switzerland, that you can enter for free. In Australia, in Sydney, where I finished my studies, there every art museum is for free.
just yeah,
And yeah, and what I really like as well is like the Aboriginal art, because like the Aboriginal is one of the oldest tribes, so they are one of the first artists, if you want to say so. So
yeah.
have this like cave paintings, and I just find it so interesting, and I'm so grateful that they don't charge any entrance to no one. So you can literally go to the art museum every day and just like look at the paintings, and it's just, you know,
And
you can go have a coffee, you can write your like your, I don't know, essays or something in the museum, and it's just very
no
quiet.
space.
Yeah, atmosphere.
That's
Yeah,
very cool. Yeah.
but
Yeah,
you
but the museum they need money. That's also a problem. I mean, museum they have they get money from the state, from the country, from the
yeah,
region, from the city,
yeah,
and also from some sponsors.
yeah,
Sometimes the sponsor are not very politically correct, so their name of are getting erased afterwards.
yeah,
It's got sent back, like the American with the Sackler, who gave too much money to different museum in the US, and these museum are giving the money back because the Sackler pharmaceutical company did some very
yeah,
very bad thing,
yeah.
things, made people sick.
Oh no, okay,
Not
I
very
see.
good. So now the money is going back to the trust, to the fund. But yeah, but the entrance, of course, if they get 5 or 10 or 6 from 100 people a day, it's a couple of hundred thousand every year. So
Mm.
yeah, it's a museum should be free. Culture should be accessible to anyone who wants to, and if you're able to pay, you should give something.
Yes, I was really like, now that you talk about the budget, like it's getting a bit critical now, but I know some people that were working in a gallery, you know, like presenting the artworks, and then they have to do like an apprenticeship and they get paid really badly. And I was also, sometimes I didn't understand why, because they charge entrance, right? They get the funding from the government, and the art pieces are very expensive. So I was thinking, why are they not able to pay their, you know, like gallerists more sometimes?
You
Because
mean
these are people who,
commercial galleries or museum?
sorry,
Museum or commercial galleries?
museums.
Well, museum, they when they do any exhibitions and they want to borrow paintings from elsewhere in the world,
Yeah,
the shipping
that's where the
costs,
money
the
goes.
cost, it's
Okay.
a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
So
Okay.
really, really, sometimes really huge amount of money to some exhibition cost a couple of 100,000 sometimes. Yeah.
Okay. You're giving me all the interesting answers. I love it. Thank you so much. That's really nice. Yeah. No. Yes. So, what do you think is the nicest gallery that you ever been to, where you were like the most?
Commercial gallery or museum?
Does it matter? Like, is there a
Uh,
huge difference for you?
no, well, it's different if it's commercial. If someone if it's gallery to sell, most of the time you don't really have the best of the best.
Mm.
But also in museum sometimes you don't have the best of the best, and it's very strange. I
Yeah.
saw recently some German museum. They have bought some paintings. I really don't understand. It's really like the baddest paintings from the artist, and paid a lot of money for that.
Yeah.
I don't get it, but they must have a they must have a good reason to do that. Now there are some galleries which are very special in modern art, and they do also contemporary artists sometimes. For instance, Aquavella galleries in New York. Aquavella Gallery is a long gallery history, and they had a very great taste from the beginning. I don't know when they started, 50, 60 years ago or more.
Yeah.
And what they have sold in the past that was not so expensive and was accessible, today is not anymore. So it's very exquisite. And so if they do they had a Picasso exhibition, I think last year. Every piece what they have been showing was just mint. It was like museum quality, but good museum. Yes, so I like Aquavella very much in New York. I like Malingue in Paris.
Yes. Yeah.
Malingue is an old dealer. He must be now 80. I don't know how much. And in his gallery, he doesn't show a lot of works, but each work is also very. You just have the top quality of the artist, of the movement, of the period. Yeah, Daniel Malingue, and this is a place you can go. It's free. You see the best of the best. Sometimes better than in museums. Things that are in private hands. Yeah, these are galleries I like. Museum. There is one museum I'd like to see. It's the one in Copenhagen, the Louisiana.
Okay.
Louisiana Museum. I've never been, unfortunately. The building, the location over the cliffs and the water must be really fantastic, and also the collection is nice. Yeah.
Okay. I have a really good friend from Copenhagen. Actually, I didn't go there, so. Sometimes because I make art myself, I don't know. Sometimes I don't want to go to galleries anymore. I'm like, oh, this is again because like I've seen a lot of art, and sometimes I feel like it influences me so much from just like creating things like freely. But I guess you actually, as someone who doesn't make art yourself, you look at it with such different eyes. Like you look at it, you want to like learn from this piece a lot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I learn and I compare also. I want to find the best painting from that artist or from that series, from some artists that I am now more specialized on. I can really say, okay, this is really not the best. This is just amazing and in my taste. But I think if you know the entire oeuvre or most of the oeuvre of an artist, then you can also choose your favorites. When I'm traveling, I always do. Last year, I had a first trip with my kids, 14 and 16, to New York. We went to New York City in October, 5 days. And my kids are not into museum at all. If I say the word museums, they, Papa. So, okay, I say, you know what? We do everything you want. You tell me, we make a list for the whole day, but once a day, we do one museum. I choose 45 minutes. And I don't want to listen to hear any complaints. You just go through, you don't have to look. We go through 45 minutes. And we did it, and they had fun. We went to the MoMA. You can see the most crazy things, fantastic surrealistic collection, blah, blah, blah. But after a moment, it's too much. And so once a day, it's okay. It's doable. We went to the Metropolitan. We went to the Egypt part. You see the tombs, you see the mummies and things. So this is quite impressive what you can see in museum. But when I travel on my own for work or for leisure, I see everything.
Do you spend a lot of time in the museums?
Like, if I travel, I can do. I don't do more than 2 museums a day because it's too much after. Because you can't. Also, if you're used to see a lot of work, but you can't digest it afterward. It's It's too much. So
Cool.
yeah.
Do you keep a list or something on the museums and you write down the pieces you like, or
No.
how you?
No,
No.
I sometimes take some pictures, take some
Yeah.
photos sometimes.
Now you take the pictures. Yeah.
I do sometimes
Yeah.
too, yeah, of course. But
Yeah.
and I say, oh, maybe I will post them on my Instagram, which is dead because I never post everything. I take some pictures sometime, but I never post.
Yeah.
And then when I look at something, you can, with location, you can find again where you have been, if it's a restaurant, if it's a museum, if it's an artwork, and then you see these again and say, that was. And then you remember the feeling you had in front of it. So it's
Yeah.
not just shooting the picture and then looking at the picture. You look at the painting, of course, but then when you see the photo afterwards again, you have the memories. You remember the feelings you had, and that's good for that. Yeah.
Cool.
I don't do lists. No.
Okay. You said you like to do sculptures, or you are very interested in sculptures too, right?
I
So
like
what
the
do you
things,
think
yeah,
that is?
paper. I like very much the drawings. And not myself, but works on paper, because a drawing is an artist. That's something that an artist can't redo. If it's done, it's done. You can't put a second layer on it. Oil painting, you can put more. If it doesn't work, you can paint on top of it and again. You can retouch and everything.
Yeah.
Drawing, aquarelle, you do, and you have to know how it is, how it works. Otherwise, it doesn't work. Sculptures, you can change if you do like, if you sculpt like a stone. If you do something wrong, it's a mess. It's done. If you work on clay, or if you do afterwards some cast in bronze, then you can prepare and again. But I think I'd like to do maybe one day to work on myself on wood,
Yeah.
because this is a material I think I could maybe. I have a lot of respect for it, but I could maybe, I don't know, I could enjoy it. I'm
That's
not saying
fun.
I
Yeah.
could do something good, but I could enjoy working on it and, I don't know, trying to do some sculptures.
I see. Okay. So when you look at art, also das is one of my theories as well. But I think there is always one or the other thing that people look for in art. Either they look for perfection, or they look for destruction. So I'm wondering, where's your tendency? Do you look for this like perfection, like the very neat, like the very nice things, or more like destructive, like Jackson Pollock or whatever, like create a total mess and then like break free and out of your shell, as if you want to say so. What
Uh,
do you think more impressive,
I
or
like to find
very
the
personal? Yeah.
imperfections in very works that look very genuine and precise and pristine and everything. I like to find the little finger which is maybe not nicely done or something.
Yeah.
I like to find the little details, and it's good to look at the details. But I like abstraction as much as I like figurative. Destruction is something different, I think.
Yeah, I would say, like, I don't know,
Destruction, but it's for me, if you have a very good.
maybe a little bit harshly formulated, but I feel
No,
like,
I know what you mean, but it's
yeah,
a Pollock can be absolutely perfect.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
looks
But I
like an
feel like,
explosion of things. So
yeah,
the something that doesn't look like squared and proper and pristine can be perfect and magnificent. So
yes, of course, but I think like Jackson Pollock, for instance, he was never looking for the perfection. He was looking for like breaking free, making a change, like he wasn't looking for this, like, like I
but
want to be
there is a
cool.
balance. There is a balance in the painting at the end, and this is the
Okay.
perfection in the thing. Of course, it's free, but the canvas has no end because you can go over the canvas when he was working on the floor, on the ground. But at the end, if you look at the good works, they have a balance
Yeah.
between the colors and the forms and the lines and everything you can find in his works. It's a balance. So I don't know how free he really was. It looks very free, but it is maybe, you can do something that looks free, but when you're good at it, when you really know how it is, then it's kind of perfect.
Interesting. This is such an interesting, because I never looked at it like this, but it's probably true.
Because you're an artist, you maybe have like a feeling for the space and everything. But if I take a brush and I dip it in a paint and I do these slashes and things on the canvas, on a paper or something, it will not look like a Pollock. I can be very free to do it. I can put it in the ceiling everywhere. It will never look like a Pollock. So free to decide which way he will take. It means not painting but dripping, throwing the paint to the surface. This is how free he is. Also the choice of the colors and the way he works. But at the end, it's a painting, and it's like an ensemble. It's like something that works together.
Yeah.
And it's there is
I prefer this kind of art as well, like the kind of unexpected, like when it's too perfect. I can say, this is very personal how I answer this, but I can say, oh yeah, this is nicely done, but I'm not fascinated by it. It doesn't grab my attention. But then when I see someone like Jackson Pollock, I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Like this is very like the making of the art kind of becomes the art as well. And that's what I love. Like this is also, I think I would consider myself to be an artist like that as well. Like who's like trying to break free rather than some of my students. They were just looking for the perfection, I think. But I never really did it. Like I could never find, like I was never fascinated by trying to find the perfection. That's why.
Maybe you have to do it for some people. They need to find the perfection first, and then when they have acquired all the knowledges, then they can go over it or through it, maybe or go to the next level. And then you have to go, like Klee, for example. Paul Klee, at one point, he wanted to paint again like naive, like a child would paint, without any influences of any academical things or any things he have seen ever before. So he was trying to go back to his
origins.
And it also, I don't remember if he was painting from the right or the left hand, but he took the wrong hand to paint, to be unsecure, because he was too precise. He could paint perfectly and very precisely. So he took the other hand, who was more like unsecure, to paint like a child. But of course, he has all these influences, all these things in his mind. So he has to put them on the side. This is intellectual, very complicated to do. I think it's very, very interesting.
Or then you have Picasso, who's very famous for his fast paintings, but he actually also has really neat and well done pictures.
He could do everything. He really could do everything.
Yes, cool.
Did sometimes some movement, and he made some painting and say, okay, I can do it. I don't need to do it more because some other people are doing. For example, there was these collectors, the Stein, Gertrude Stein, in Paris, working with her brother, and I don't remember the name of the brother, but they had this salon, and they were very wealthy, and they were supporting the young artists. So they had everything, Cézanne, from Picasso, the first Cubist, of everything. And one they had like maybe a fight or something, and they separate. They were living together, the brother and the sister,
Yeah.
so to share the collection. And in the collection there was a small drawing, a pastel. I think it was one apple on by Cézanne. So
Yeah.
then Gertrude Stein said, "Oh, I'm very sad because my brother have it now. He has it, and I really liked it so much." Picasso said, "No problem." He came back again a couple of days later. He did
Same.
a drawing, not exactly the same, but like an apple like Cézanne would have done it. Cézanne was already dead 3 years ago,
Yeah.
3 years before, and it's a very well-known small work on paper now, and one
Yeah.
fruit by Picasso, but it looks 100% like Cézanne. So if you don't know,
I know the work, but I never really heard. Also, I never wasn't aware of the story that much. Like I.
but
Yeah.
Picasso could really do everything.
Yeah.
But for some artists, for him, it was maybe, of course, he was into it and thing, but he had this ability to do something new and to restart and to
Yeah.
change everything. And I don't know, I have the feeling for him it was easy to do, but some other artists, it was not easy, and they wanted and they have done some different. They had some different periods, and they have been working in a totally different way, and you have the feeling it's different artists.
Yeah.
Like Max Ernst, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Max Ernst, the surrealist German, came to Paris 1914. Incredible. That guy, he was able to do so many different things. And he also developed some techniques that haven't been done before, like the frottage, for example, came from, it's Max Ernst. Richter, Gerhard Richter,
Mm-hmm.
the very early paintings, no one knows very much about these, but they are maybe not the most important ones when he still was in Eastern Germany. And then the surrealist, photorealistic, blurry ones.
Yeah.
Amazing. And then he goes to the totally abstraction with these things. And then again, the very latest period, I think he did this maybe 5 years ago. He did some prints on very thin color lines, huge prints, like, I don't know, 2 meters, 3 meters, and they're only like rectangle and just lines very close, stick together. And
Yeah.
you can't really look at it. You can't fix your eye on one line. It's impossible because your eye is always moving to the different line. And this is something totally different technique, different way to work, different result. So Richter is
You
also.
saw it live? Did you see it live?
Pardon me?
Did you see
Yeah.
that work in reality?
Oh, I see some. I could see some. Yeah,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, many times. And so just to say,
I mean, the newest one. Did you see it? I think I just saw a photo of it.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
I was standing in front of one large one,
Yeah.
and you can't fix your sight on one thing. It's always like your eyes are getting
Yeah.
crazy when looking at it. So to an artist to be to that is able to renew himself, to find something totally new, this is something
Yeah,
amazing.
he's very. Yeah, that's actually maybe a very good question to also finish slowly but surely, because we've been talking for a long time. I don't want to steal so much of your time.
Very happy to see you.
Thank you. But now the last question. I'm so curious. What do you think makes a successful artist? Because there is a lot of people, especially nowadays, they actually study art, but then they end up working in a cafe or I don't know, in IT or I don't know, elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's like 65% of graduates, like art graduates, who end up working in different fields. So, what do you think is the secret to success? Do I first have to die so I get famous, or?
Old story. That's what people think. Very, very simple. Marketing.
Yeah. Okay.
That's it. It's not the art. At the end, to be a successful artist, of course, you have to be good. You have to bring something maybe new, and not
Yeah.
even that. But the marketing, who is in charge of you? Who is the gallery? Who will push you? Who is the influencer? And there always have been some influencers in the whole art history. If you look 100 years ago, these galleries in Paris, for example, they were saying this is art, and they were saying also to their artists, I can sell a seascape better than the countryside in autumn, because who wants autumn in the living room? People want sun, they want to have blue sky, trees, make some little children playing in the corner, so it makes the painting more sweet, easier to sell. So artists also have been influenced by gallerists, and good gallerists, good salespeople, but also, of course, art passionate, have been able to explain and to push these artists. It's difficult to do something new, to do something interesting. And all the artists we are talking about today, in 5 years, there will be 1% we will still talk about. All get forgotten. So successful artists have to have a good marketing and strong galleries and or strong gallerists.
But do you think maybe authenticity also plays a role? Because you need to...
It's better, of course, it's better. But to be honest, it's not always the point. I try to show my artists, and I remember I've done these exhibitions of my artists in the gallery, and people were coming, oh, it's beautiful, beautiful. But a wall tapestry, this is something my grandparents used to have. Look at the work. Do you like the work? Do you like the story that the work tells? Yes or no? Maybe I'm not a very good gallerist.
No, it's interesting. I think maybe you something.
To be honest, if you show new things, sculptures made of paper, out of paper, not a lot of people say, oh yeah, but how it will happen with the time and the dust and everything, this is not the point.
Yeah, sometimes you have to give up a piece of your own, I don't know, convictions in order to make it fit to a gallery better. Like, I was also working with galleries together, and then they were like, no, we don't want to. Like, I photographed, for instance, like a skeleton of a horse, which I found so interesting because I never seen it before. And then they said, this we don't want to show because it doesn't fit in our, ideas. And I was like, that this is the best piece, I thought, But then, of course, it was like, fair enough. Okay, I'm not going to show it there. But then I went to show it at Photo Schweiz, for instance, And there it's more interesting because there was also much more people who are fascinated by things, the uncommon, things that you don't see so often. So yeah, I think you need to be aware of your surroundings, of who you want to show and who you want to address with your art too. Yeah, that's...
I can share one picture for the end that really says a lot. Can I share it with you now?
Do you want to send it to me, or do you want to try to share?
Should I send it to you maybe? Try to do it quick.
Yeah. Sorry. Rush.
Up. Pardon.
No, all good.
Okay. Yeah. Voila. Just send it to you by email. You should receive it. Small thing. Maybe something to share, because looking at art and things, but to live with art. Now I have empty walls, but I have an excuse. I just moved 2 days ago, so I didn't unpack the art already. I will have a lot of art very soon. But a lot of people are struggling and can't decide because, will I like it still in 2 years, in 5 years? If you can afford it, go for it and live with the art, enjoy it. To have art in your home. When I see some friends of mine, they have empty walls.
Yeah.
It's sad. And then you can always change, put it in another place, in another another room. And maybe when you get older, you increase the space you have, so you have more room. So this is Dan Bina. And to the client collector, then it comes to you, I really like the painting. Buy it then. Go for it. Buy art.
Cool.
Voilà.
Yeah, on that note, buy my art, guys. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
No, but it's, I love it. It's a good quote. I love it. No, very nice. Thank you so much, Philippe, for this beautiful talk.
Nina.
It was so interesting.
I really enjoyed talking to you, and thank you so much. It was very, very cool. First time for me.
Yes, first time, maybe not last time. We'll have a talk afterwards in the backstage. I just want to say to the people who watch this stream, you can also see Philippe's website. It's in the description of the video, and I hope you liked
And
it.
Selena's.
And yeah, see you soon. Mine too, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And see you all soon. Bye bye.
Ciao. Salut.